Zixthara moved her long, thin fingers across the holographic display. The blue light made patterns in the air as she worked. She had been doing this job for 30 years. Making maps was what the Velthari people did best. Their 4 eyes could see details that other species missed. The Galactic Mapping Consortium was the most important place for map makers in the known universe. Every species trusted their work. Every ship used their charts to travel between the stars. Zixthara felt proud to work here. Today she was updating the charts for the Outer Rim territories. New trade routes needed to be added. Some old ones had become dangerous because of space pirates. Her job was to make sure travelers could move safely through space. She zoomed in on Sector 7749. The display showed hundreds of star systems. Each one had detailed information: population numbers, trade goods, military strength, political status. Everything a traveler might need to know. But something was wrong. The data ended suddenly at a specific line in space. Beyond that line, the map showed only empty black. No star systems, no trade routes, no population data. Just a simple label that read, Human Space. Zixthara had seen this before but never paid much attention. Every species had their territory marked on the galactic charts. But this was different. Every other species had detailed information. The Kethmoran Empire had thousands of pages of data. The Silicon Collective had detailed technical specifications. The Psi-Link Federation had complex diplomatic notes. Humans had nothing. Just those 2 words and a red warning. Navigation prohibited. Authority level. Galactic Council Omega. She had never seen an Omega-level warning before. In 30 years of map-making, she had seen alpha warnings for dangerous space storms, beta warnings for hostile territories, gamma warnings for quarantine zones, but never Omega. Her curiosity grew stronger. She tried to access more information about human space. The computer denied her request. Access level insufficient. She used her supervisor credentials. Still denied. She tried her department head access codes. Still nothing. Now she was really interested. What could be so secret that even senior map makers could not see it? Zixthara looked around the office. Her co-workers were busy with their own projects. Nobody was watching her. She decided to dig deeper into the archives. The historical database was huge. Millions of years of galactic history were stored there. She searched for humans and found basic information. They were a young species. They had only been known to the galactic community for about 300 years. They were mammals from a planet called Earth. Nothing special. But then she found the military records. 215 years ago, the Kethmoran Empire had tried to expand into human territory. The Kethmorans were famous for their military strength. They had conquered dozens of species. Their war fleets were feared across the galaxy. The war with humans lasted exactly 3 days. On the 4th day, the entire Kethmoran fleet surrendered. Not defeated, surrendered. The records showed no major battles, no ship losses, no explanation for why the mighty Kethmoran Empire gave up so quickly. Zixthara found more records. 50 years later, the Silicon Collective had tried to establish trade routes through human space. The Silicon Collective were master negotiators. They had never failed to make a deal with any species. Their encounter with humans lasted 1 day. They retreated and never tried again. 30 years after that, the Psi-Link Federation sent their most powerful mind readers to study human psychology. The Psi-Link could read the thoughts of any living being in the galaxy. Their mission to human space ended in 6 hours. The mind readers came back changed. They refused to talk about what they had seen. Some of them never spoke again. Each of these 3 incidents had the same result. The major galactic powers agreed to establish the boundary around human space. No ships would cross it. No contact would be made. The humans would be left alone. But why? What had scared 3 of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations? Zixthara kept searching. Deep in the classified archives, she found a file labeled the Terra Incident. The encryption was beyond anything she had seen before. Her access codes would not work. But she noticed something strange. The file size was massive. Whatever was. In there was detailed and important. She tried different approaches, technical manuals, diplomatic records, trade agreements. Everything related to humans was either missing or heavily classified. It was as if someone had deliberately removed all useful information about them from the galactic database. Then she found the navigation logs. Hundreds of ships had traveled near the human boundary over the past 2 centuries. Commercial vessels, exploration ships, scientific expeditions, all of them reported the same thing. Their instruments stopped working properly when they got close to human space. Sensors gave strange readings. Computer systems acted strangely. Some ships reported that their artificial intelligence units became scared. How do you make an artificial intelligence scared? One log entry caught her attention. A cargo ship captain wrote, "Passed within 10 light years of human territory today." Ship's AI started talking about things that made no sense. It kept saying they're bigger than they look and the math is wrong. Had to shut down the AI for the rest of the journey. Still don't know what it meant. Another entry from a scientific vessel. Attempted long-range scans of human systems. Equipment malfunctioned. Results showed impossible readings. Energy signatures that should not exist. Space itself appears different, near their territory. Recommend avoiding area entirely. Zixthara felt a chill run through her body. She was beginning to understand why the maps ended at human space. It was not just political boundaries. Something about humans was fundamentally different. Something that scared the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. She looked at the galactic map again. The human boundary was not very large compared to other major powers. It looked small and insignificant. But now she realized that might be wrong. What if the boundary was not the edge of human territory? What if it was just the edge of what other species were allowed to see? Her computer chimed. A message appeared on her screen. Unauthorized access detected. Report to Security Chief immediately. Zixthara's blood turned cold. Someone had been monitoring her research. She quickly closed all the files and deleted her search history. But it was probably too late. She gathered her things and walked to the security office. Her mind raced with questions. What had she discovered? Why was information about humans so heavily protected? What had really happened during those 3 incidents centuries ago? Security Chief Vordan was waiting for her. He was a large hegemony officer with serious eyes. Mapmaker Zixthara, you have been accessing restricted files. I was just updating the charts, sir. I noticed some incomplete data and tried to verify it. Human space is off limits for all personnel below Omega clearance. You should have reported the incomplete data to your supervisor. Yes, sir. I understand now. May I ask why the security is so strict? Vordan stared at her for a long moment. There are things in this galaxy that are better left unknown. The humans are one of those things. Your access to the historical archives has been suspended. You will return to standard mapping duties only. As Zixthara walked back to her workstation, she could not stop thinking about what she had learned. 3 major powers had encountered humans and immediately retreated. Navigation equipment failed near their territory. Even artificial intelligences became frightened. She looked at her holographic display again. The simple line marking human space seemed different now. It was not just a boundary on a map. It was a wall. A barrier between the known galaxy and something that the galaxy's most powerful species did not want to face. The label still read, human space. But now Zixthara wondered if it should read something else. Something like, here there be monsters. Or perhaps worse, here there be gods. Ambassador Kretal stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel Harmony's Edge. Through the main viewing screen, she could see the stars of the Outer Rim territories. They were getting closer to the mysterious boundary that surrounded human. Space Kretal was one of the best diplomats in the hegemony. She had negotiated peace treaties with dozens of species. She had solved trade disputes that had lasted for centuries. But this mission was different. This mission scared her. The Galactic Council had specifically forbidden any contact with humans. The restriction had been in place for over 200 years. But recent events had forced their hand. Strange energy readings were coming from human space. Long-range sensors detected massive construction projects. Something was happening in there, and the galaxy's leaders were getting nervous. "Ambassador, we are approaching the boundary," said Captain Thel Oak. He was a steady officer, but he looked worried. "Understood, Captain. Maintain course." The diplomatic team was small but elite. General Vorthak was the galaxy's most experienced military strategist. He had studied every known form of warfare. Dr. Silreth was a xenobiologist who had cataloged hundreds of alien species. Professor MNX Kill was a quantum physicist whose theories had revolutionized faster-than-light travel. If anyone could make successful contact with humans, it was this team. "The boundary is just ahead," reported the navigation officer. "All sensors are functioning normally. No sign of human vessels." Kretal nodded. According to the historical records, humans did not patrol their border. They simply existed behind it. Ships that tried to cross were either turned back or never returned. No one knew which. "Ambassador," said Dr. Silreth, looking at her readings, "I'm detecting something strange. The space ahead of us is not empty." "Explain." "There are structures out there, massive ones, but they're almost invisible to our sensors. It's like they're designed to be overlooked." Professor MNX Kill joined the conversation. "I'm seeing quantum fluctuations that should not exist. The fabric of space itself is different near the boundary. It's as if someone has been modifying the fundamental laws of physics." General Vorthak studied the tactical display. "No signs of weapons or defenses. Either they have no military presence here, or their technology is so advanced that we cannot detect it." "Only one way to find out," said Kretal. "Take us across." The Harmony's edge moved forward. The moment they crossed the boundary, alarms started ringing throughout the ship. "What's happening?" demanded Kretal. "The AI is malfunctioning," reported the technical officer. "It keeps displaying error messages in languages that don't exist in our database, and the navigation system is showing impossible readings." On the main screen, strange symbols appeared and disappeared. The computer tried to translate them but failed. The symbols hurt to look at, as if they contained too much information for normal minds to process. "Captain, there's a ship approaching," said the sensor operator. "It's small, about the size of a personal shuttle." "Tactical analysis," ordered General Vorthak. "I can't get a clear reading. The ship appears to be made of materials that our sensors can't identify. And it's not using any propulsion system we recognize. It's just moving." The human ship came alongside the Harmony's edge. It was sleek and simple, with no visible weapons or engines. A communication channel opened. "Greetings," said a pleasant female voice. "I am Commander Sarah Chen of the Human Diplomatic Corps. You have entered a restricted zone. For your safety, you will be escorted to Processing Station Alpha." Kretal stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Kretal of the Galactic Hegemony. We request formal diplomatic contact with your government." "That's nice," replied Commander Chen. Her tone was friendly but somehow condescending. "Please do not attempt to leave your current position. We'll have you sorted out shortly." Sorted out? Kretal was confused. She was used to being treated with respect by other species. This human was talking to her like she was a lost child. "Captain," whispered the tactical officer, "we have a problem. We can't move." "What do you mean?" "The engines are running at full power, but we're not going anywhere. Something is holding us in place." General Vorthak checked his readings. No tractor beams detected, no gravitational anomalies, no visible restraints. We're just stuck. Professor Mernk's-Kill was staring at his instruments in amazement. "This is impossible. According to my readings, space itself has become solid around our ship, but that's not physically possible." Commander Chen's voice came through the speakers. "Again. Please don't be alarmed. The spatial anchor is for your protection. There are many dangerous things in this area. We wouldn't want you to accidentally fly into something that might hurt you." "How are you doing this?" asked Kretal. "Doing what?" "Holding our ship motionless without any visible technology." There was a pause. "Oh, that. It's just standard safety protocol. Nothing fancy." Dr. Silreth was running biological scans on the human ship. Ambassador, I'm picking up one life form on that vessel, but the readings are strange. Strange how? The biological signature is human, but it's been modified extensively. I'm seeing cellular structures that shouldn't exist. Integration with technology that appears to be organic. It's as if biology and machinery have merged completely. The human ship began moving, and somehow the Harmony's edge moved with it. They were being towed through space without any physical connection. Where are you taking us? Asked Kretal. Processing Station Alpha, replied Commander Chen. It's just a quick trip. We need to run some standard evaluations before you can proceed. What kind of evaluations? Oh, the usual. Psychological compatibility, technological assessment, cultural impact analysis. Standard first contact stuff, it won't take long. General Vorthak studied the tactical display. More human ships were appearing around them. They were all small, but somehow they made the Harmony's edge feel tiny and helpless. How many ships do you have in this area? He asked. In this area? Commander Chen sounded amused. This is just the reception zone. We keep it pretty quiet here. Wouldn't want to overwhelm visitors. Reception zone? The border area, where we meet new people. The actual inhabited systems are much deeper in. Kretal felt a chill. The boundary that the galactic community feared was just a reception area. What lay beyond it? Processing Station Alpha appeared ahead of them. It looked like a simple space station, nothing impressive. But Professor Mexkill's readings told a different story. Ambassador, he whispered. That station is composed of materials that don't exist in our periodic table. The structure itself exists in 11 dimensions simultaneously. We're looking at technology that's thousands of years ahead of anything in the galaxy. And they're treating us like tourists, muttered General Vorthak. The Harmony's edge was guided into a docking bay. As they prepared to disembark, Dr. Silreth made another disturbing discovery. The humans on that station, she said quietly, they're all showing the same biological modifications. Whatever they've done to themselves, they've done it to their entire species. Commander Chen's voice came through the speakers one more time. Welcome to Processing Station Alpha. Please gather your diplomatic materials and prepare for standard evaluation. Someone will be along shortly to explain the process. Kretal looked at her team. They were supposed to be the galaxy's finest experts, but they were completely out of their depth here. The humans had technology they couldn't understand, capabilities they couldn't measure, and an attitude that suggested they weren't even trying to impress anyone. What had they gotten themselves into? The interior of Processing Station Alpha looked surprisingly normal. The corridors were well lit and clean. The walls appeared to be made of simple metal. Everything seemed designed to make visitors feel comfortable. But Professor Mexkill's instruments told a different story. The simple walls were actually composed of programmable matter that could reshape itself at will. The normal lighting came from sources that generated energy from quantum vacuum fluctuations. Even the air they were breathing had been modified at the molecular level to be perfectly healthy for any species. A human woman approached them in the main corridor. She was tall and moved with fluid grace. Her smile was warm and genuine. Hello, I'm Dr. Martinez. I'll be your processing coordinator during your stay here. I hope your journey wasn't too uncomfortable. Ambassador Kretal studied the human carefully. She looked normal enough, but Dr. Silreth's biological scanner was giving impossible readings. The human's cellular structure showed signs of technological integration so advanced it appeared completely natural. Dr. Martinez, we are here on official diplomatic business. We request immediate contact with your government representatives. Of course, said Dr. Martinez pleasantly. That's what we're here for. But first we need to complete some standard procedures. It's for everyone's safety. She led them to a comfortable meeting room. The furniture adjusted automatically to accommodate their different body types. Refreshments appeared on the table without anyone bringing them. Please make yourselves comfortable. Can I get you anything else? We have food from your homeworlds if you prefer. General Vorthak leaned forward. How did you know what our homeworlds are? Your ship's computer told us when you crossed the boundary. Standard information exchange protocol. Nothing invasive, just basic diplomatic data. Our computer doesn't have that information accessible remotely, said Professor Kill. Dr. Martinez looked puzzled. Oh, well then I guess we got it some other way. Does it matter? The casual way she dismissed the impossible made everyone uncomfortable. Either the humans had technology that could extract information from protected computer systems instantly, or they already knew everything about the galactic community and were pretending otherwise. Dr. Martinez, said Kretal, what exactly is this processing you mentioned? Standard First Contact Protocol Revision, 847. We need to assess your species' technological level, cultural compatibility, and psychological readiness for expanded contact. It usually takes a few days. Revision 847, asked General Vorthak. How many first contacts have you had? Oh, this isn't our first contact with your species. We've been aware of the galactic community for quite some time. This is just our first formal diplomatic exchange. Dr. Silreth activated her scanner and pointed it at Dr. Martinez. The readings were incredible. The human's brain showed neural pathways that connected to quantum computing systems. Her blood contained microscopic machines that maintained perfect health. Her bones were reinforced with materials stronger than starship armor. Dr. Martinez, may I ask what modifications you've made to your biology? Modifications? Dr. Martinez looked confused. We're just regular humans. Perhaps your scanner isn't calibrated correctly for our physiology. But the scanner was working perfectly. It was showing that every human on the station had been enhanced far beyond natural biological limits. They were all stronger, faster, smarter, and more durable than any known species. Yet they seemed genuinely unaware of how extraordinary they had become. A technician entered the room. He looked young, maybe 25 standard years, but something about his eyes suggested vast experience. Dr. Martinez, the evaluation results are ready. Thank you, James. How long have you been working here, James? About 200 years, give or take. Kretal stared at the young-looking technician. 200 years? James smiled. Time moves differently when you're busy. Plus, we've made some improvements to the aging process. Death is more of an inconvenience now than a real problem. Professor Kill's instruments were detecting more impossibilities. The walls around them were not just programmable matter, they were conscious. The entire station was alive in some way, thinking and responding to their presence. What is this place really? He asked. Processing Station Alpha, replied Dr. Martinez. We built it about 50 years ago when we realized we might need to handle diplomatic visitors. It's nothing special, just a basic facility. Basic? General Vorthak looked around at the impossible technology surrounding them. This station represents advances that are thousands of years beyond anything in the galaxy. Dr. Martinez and James exchanged glances. I think there might be some misunderstanding about our technological level, said Dr. Martinez. This really is basic for us. Would you like to see something more advanced? Before anyone could answer, the wall in front of them became transparent. Through it, they could see space. But it was not the same space they had traveled through to get here. This space was filled with structures so vast they made planets look like pebbles. Artificial rings surrounded entire stars. Spheres the size of gas giants moved in perfect formation. Lines of energy connected distant galaxies, carrying impossible amounts of power across the void. That's the local neighborhood, explained James. We keep it pretty quiet out here. The really interesting stuff is deeper in human space. Dr. Silreth was staring at the display in shock. How many systems do you control? Control is the wrong word, said Dr. Martinez. We don't really control anything. We just exist alongside. Space is big enough for everyone. But those structures. Professor Kill pointed at a machine that was disassembling and rebuilding an entire solar system. That's not coexistence. That's complete mastery over the physical universe. Oh, that. Yeah. We needed more computational substrate for the latest project. Don't worry, we made sure no one was living there first. We always check. Commander Chen's voice came through a communication device. Dr. Martinez, Are our guests ready for the next phase? I think so. They seem to be handling the basic concepts well. Basic concepts? Kretal found her voice again. You're rebuilding solar systems and treating it like routine maintenance. Well, it is routine maintenance, ma'am, said James. The universe requires constant upkeep. Entropy is always trying to make everything fall apart. Someone has to keep things organized. Dr. Martinez led them to another room. This one had a large holographic display showing a map of the local galactic area. But it was not like any map they had seen before. Human space extended far beyond the boundary marked on galactic charts. It reached into regions that their astronomers had believed were empty void. Worse, the map showed that human influence extended, in directions that should not exist, into dimensions beyond normal space-time. This is what we call the Neighborhood Watch Area, explained Dr. Martinez. We keep an eye on things out here. Make sure nothing dangerous gets too close to inhabited systems. Dangerous? Asked General Vorthak. Oh yes. There are things in deep space that most species aren't ready to know about. Ancient machines left by civilizations that transcended physical existence. Entities that exist outside normal reality. Cosmic parasites that eat entire galaxies. We handle those sorts of problems. The delegation sat in stunned silence. They had come here expecting to meet a primitive species. Instead, they had found beings who treated the reconstruction of solar systems as basic maintenance and considered themselves the guardians of galactic civilization. Dr. Martinez, said Kretal slowly, what do you want from us? Want? Nothing really. We're happy to establish formal diplomatic relations if that's what you prefer. We can share some basic technologies that might be helpful, or we can just go back to the way things were before, with us staying on our side of the boundary. But why? Why have you remained hidden? With your capabilities, you could rule the entire galaxy. Dr. Martinez looked genuinely puzzled. Why would we want to rule anything? That sounds like a lot of work. We have more interesting projects to focus on. What kind of projects? James and Dr. Martinez exchanged another glance. This time they looked almost embarrassed. Well, said Dr. Martinez slowly, we're trying to figure out how to move to a different universe. This one is going to end eventually, and we'd prefer not to be here when that happens. Dr. Martinez led the delegation through corridors that seemed to stretch forever. The station was much larger inside than it appeared from the outside. Professor Eminix Keel's instruments showed that space itself was being folded and compressed to create more room. I want to show you something that will help explain our situation, said Dr. Martinez. But I should warn you, some species find it disturbing. They entered a massive chamber that had not existed moments before. The walls, floor, and ceiling were transparent, giving them a view into the depths of human space. What they saw made their minds struggle to understand. Stars moved in perfect geometric patterns, not slowly, over millions of years, but visibly, like dancers following a choreographed routine. Entire solar systems rotated around central points that contained structures the size of small moons. Planets had been taken apart and rebuilt as vast computers, their surfaces covered with processing units that glowed with soft light. We call this the garden, explained Dr. Martinez. It took us about 300 years to get it organized properly. Each star system is optimized for a specific purpose, some for energy generation, some for computation, some for manufacturing. Ambassador Kretal stared in amazement. You moved the stars themselves? Had to. The natural arrangement was terribly inefficient. Random stellar distribution wastes, enormous amounts of space and energy. This way, everything works together as a unified system. Commander Chen appeared beside them. She had not walked into the room. She had simply materialized. How are our guests handling the tour? Better than expected, replied Dr. Martinez. They seem to be adapting well to the concept of large-scale engineering. Large-scale? General Vorthak's voice cracked. You've restructured entire regions of space. This isn't engineering, it's godlike power. Commander Chen looked uncomfortable. Please don't use that word. We're just people who got good at solving problems. The scale doesn't really matter once you understand the underlying principles. Dr. Silrith was taking readings on everything around them. Her instruments were showing impossible energy levels. The structures they were seeing consumed more power in a single day than most civilizations used in a century. Commander Chen, what powers all of this? Stars, mostly. We've learned how to extract energy more efficiently than natural stellar processes. A typical star wastes most of its energy radiating heat into empty space. We capture all of it and put it to good use. You've turned stars into batteries? More like controlled fusion reactors. Same process, just better organized. Professor Tunnerskill was studying the mathematical principles behind what he was seeing. The calculations required to move stars and maintain stable orbits should have been impossible for any finite mind to comprehend. Commander, how do you perform the orbital mechanics calculations for this system? We don't calculate them, replied Commander Chen. We just ask the local management system to handle it. Management system? The regional artificial intelligence. Each sector has one. They take care of routine maintenance, resource allocation, traffic control, that sort of thing. James appeared next to them. Like Commander Chen, he had not walked. He had simply arrived. The AI for this sector wants to know if you'd like a detailed explanation of the stellar engineering principles. It's always excited to meet new people. Before anyone could answer, a voice spoke directly into their minds. It was warm and friendly, but impossibly vast, like an ocean trying to whisper. Greetings, visitors. I am the Garden Management Intelligence. I maintain 47 star systems in this sector. Would you like a technical briefing on our stellar optimization methods? The delegation looked at each other in shock. The artificial intelligence was speaking to them telepathically, and its presence felt larger than entire planets. That's not necessary right now, said Kretal weakly. Understood. I will prepare a simplified overview instead. I forget that biological minds process information differently. Please let me know if you need anything during your visit. The presence faded, leaving them feeling small and insignificant. How intelligent is that AI? Asked Professor Eminexkill. Hard to say, replied Commander Chen. Intelligence isn't really measured the same way at that scale. It thinks thoughts that take years to complete and processes information from thousands of different dimensions simultaneously. Comparing it to biological intelligence is like comparing the ocean to a puddle. Dr. Martinez gestured toward another transparent wall. Would you like to see where we conduct our research? The view changed to show structures that hurt to look at directly. They existed in too many dimensions, folding in and out of normal spacetime. Geometric shapes that should not be possible cast shadows in directions that did not exist. Those are our experimental facilities, explained Dr. Martinez. We're working on some pretty advanced projects there. What kind of projects? Asked Dr. Silrith. Well, the main one is dimensional engineering. We're trying to create a permanent gateway to a parallel universe, a younger one with more stable physical constants. General Vorthak felt his worldview crumbling. You're trying to travel to other universes? Travel isn't really the right word. We want to relocate there. Permanently. All of us. Why? Commander Chen's expression became serious. This universe is dying. Not quickly. It has trillions of years left. But entropy always wins in the end. Stars will burn out. Galaxies will drift apart. Eventually, everything will be cold and empty. That's unimaginably far in the future, said Professor Mexkill. Not really. We plan to be around for all of it. Death is optional for us now, so we need to think in cosmic time frames. This universe will end, but there are others. Younger ones. Ones where we can start fresh. Dr. Martinez nodded. It's like living in an old house. Eventually, it becomes easier to build a new one than to keep repairing the old one. But what about everyone else? Asked Kretal. What about the billions of species in this galaxy? That's why we've been so careful about contact, replied Commander Chen. We can't save everyone. The technology and knowledge required for universal migration is difficult for most minds to handle. Some species go insane just thinking about it. James appeared again. Actually, we've been discussing this a lot lately. We think some species might be ready to join us. Not all, but some. Join you? In the migration. When we leave this universe, there will be room for others who want to come along. But they would need to be prepared for what that means. Dr. Silreth looked around at the impossible structures surrounding them. What does it mean? Everything you know would be left behind, said Dr. Martinez. Your planets, your cultures, your history. The new universe would be completely empty except for us. We'd be starting civilization from scratch. And if a species chooses not to join you, then they stay here and live their lives as they always have. We'll continue maintaining the boundary and protecting the galaxy from cosmic threats. When the universe eventually ends, they'll end with it. The delegation stood in silence, trying to process what they had learned. Humanity had not just advanced beyond other species, they had transcended the normal limitations of existence itself. They had become gardeners of space and time, planning for the death of the universe itself. Commander Chen, said Kretal finally, what do you need from us? Nothing, really. We just wanted you to understand the situation. The galactic community has been curious about us for centuries. We thought it was time to explain ourselves. But why now? Why not remain hidden? Commander Chen smiled sadly. Because we're getting close to completing the migration project. Once we leave, there will be no one left to maintain the cosmic defenses. The galaxy will be on its own. What cosmic defenses? The barriers that keep the really dangerous things in deep space from noticing inhabited systems. The reality anchors that prevent dimensional intrusions. The entropy scrubbers that slow down universal decay. Someone needs to take over those responsibilities or this galaxy won't last another 1,000,000 years. General Vorthak realized what she was saying. You want us to replace you? Not exactly replace us, more like inherit what we've built, some of it anyway. The parts that keep everyone safe. The weight of responsibility was staggering. Humanity was offering to share technology that could protect the galaxy, but only because they were planning to abandon it entirely. How long do we have to decide? Asked Kretal. Time moves slowly at cosmic scales, replied Commander Chen. The migration won't begin for another few thousand years. Plenty of time to prepare. As they began the journey back to the processing station, each member of the delegation was lost in thought. They had come here expecting to meet another galactic power. Instead, they had discovered that their entire civilization existed under the protection of beings who were preparing to become gods in another universe. Commander Chen led them to a place that existed at the very edge of reality itself. The journey took no time at all. One moment they were on Processing Station Alpha. The next they stood in a vast chamber that stretched beyond the boundaries of normal space. This is the migration portal, she explained. Our greatest achievement and our most dangerous experiment. The structure before them was impossible to describe properly. It was a ring the size of a gas giant, but it also existed in dimensions that human minds could not perceive. Looking at it directly caused reality to shimmer and bend. Space-time itself seemed uncertain near the portal. What are we looking at? Whispered Professor Menexkill. A permanent gateway between universes, replied Dr. Martinez. It took us 800 years to build. The final phases of construction required us to modify the fundamental constants of physics in this region of space. Dr. Silreth's instruments were giving readings that made no sense. Energy levels that should have destroyed galaxies. Matter densities that should have collapsed into black holes. Yet somehow, everything remained stable. How is this possible? She asked. We had to learn how to edit the laws of physics, said James. Locally, at least. The normal rules don't apply here. We've created a bubble of modified reality where impossible things become possible. General Vorthak studied the tactical implications. This technology could be used as a weapon. It could, agreed Commander Chen. That's one reason we've been so careful about contact with other species. Knowledge of dimensional manipulation tends to lead to unfortunate experiments. What kind of experiments? The Andrax Collective tried to build their own dimensional portal about 50,000 years ago. They accidentally connected to a universe filled with hostile energy beings. Their entire galaxy was consumed within a decade. Ambassador Kretal stared at the portal. You've been protecting us from threats like that? Among other things, the universe is full of dangers that most civilizations never encounter. Ancient weapons left by transcended species, reality viruses that spread from dimension to dimension, cosmic entities that feed on the life force of entire galaxies. We handle those problems quietly. A new voice joined their conversation. It was different from the garden management intelligence, older, deeper, with hints of vast weariness. Welcome, visitors from the mortal realm. I am the Portal Guardian. I have been waiting to meet representatives of the galaxy's younger species. The presence that accompanied this voice was overwhelming. It felt like standing next to a mountain that could think. But there was also sadness in it, as if this ancient intelligence carried the weight of countless difficult decisions. "Guardian," said Commander Chen respectfully, "our guests would like to understand the choice we're offering their people." "Ah, yes, the great decision. Come, let me show you what awaits." The space around them changed. Suddenly they were standing in the new universe, not physically, but as observers looking through the portal. What they saw was breathtaking. It was a universe in its infancy, with laws of physics that were more flexible than their own. Stars burned with different colors. Space itself seemed more alive, more responsive to conscious intent. In the distance, they could see the beginnings of structures that humanity was already building there. "This is where we will go when the migration begins," explained the Guardian. "A place where consciousness and reality interact more directly, where the barriers between mind and matter are thin, where new forms of existence become possible." "It's beautiful," said Dr. Silrith. "And empty," added Dr. Martinez. "No life exists there yet except what we've already transferred. We would be the seeds of all future civilization in that realm." Professor Manixkill was analyzing the physics of the new universe. The constants are different there. Faster than light, travel would be much easier. Energy extraction from quantum vacuum would be more efficient. Even the aging process would be slowed. "Exactly," said Commander Chen. "It's a younger, more energetic universe, one where our descendants can grow and explore for trillions of years without worrying about entropy or heat death." "But," said the Guardian, "the transition is not easy. To exist in that realm requires fundamental changes to consciousness itself. Your thoughts, your memories, your very sense of identity would need to be restructured." General Vorthak asked the crucial question: "Would we still be ourselves?" "That depends on how you define yourself," replied the Guardian. "Your core personality would remain, your relationships, your values, your essential nature. But the way you experience existence would be radically different. You would become something more than what you are now." The vision faded, and they were back in the portal chamber. The delegation stood in silence, trying to process what they had seen. "How many humans have already made the transition?" asked Kretal. "About half our population," replied Dr. Martinez. "The rest of us are staying to maintain this universe until the migration is complete. Someone needs to keep the cosmic defenses running. And after that? After that, this universe will be on its own. The barriers we've built will slowly decay. Without maintenance, the reality anchors will fail. The entropy scrubbers will shut down. Natural processes will resume." James materialized beside them. "That's why this choice is so important. Some species in the galaxy might be ready to take over those responsibilities. Not all the technology. That would be too dangerous. But the basic maintenance systems that keep dangerous things locked away." "What would that involve?" asked General Vorthak. "Learning to manipulate space-time on a galactic scale, managing artificial intelligences that think in geological time periods, maintaining barriers between dimensions, preventing cosmic catastrophes, basically becoming the caretakers of local reality." "And if we refuse?" Commander Chen's expression was sad but understanding. "Then you continue as you are, living normal lives in a normal universe, until something breaks that we're no longer here to fix." The Portal Guardian spoke again. "There is a third option. Some species choose to prepare for the end. When this universe finally dies, they die with it, but they spend their remaining eons creating beauty, art, and knowledge that makes their existence meaningful. How long do we have to decide? Asked Kretal. The migration will begin in approximately 3,000 of your years, replied Dr. Martinez. That's enough time for several generations to consider the choice carefully. As they prepared to leave the portal chamber, Ambassador Kretal turned back to Commander Chen. Why are you telling us this? Why not just leave quietly? Because it's not right to abandon people without giving them a chance to understand their situation. The galaxy deserves to know what's coming and to have the opportunity to prepare, even though most species will probably choose to remain as they are. Especially then, every civilization has the right to face its future with full knowledge of the options available. The journey back to Processing Station Alpha was quiet. Each member of the delegation was lost in thought, trying to comprehend the magnitude of the choice humanity was offering. When they reached the station, Dr. Martinez provided them with a data crystal containing basic information about the cosmic defense systems and the time frame for the migration. This contains everything your species needs to make an informed decision, she said. Take it back to your leaders. Let them discuss it. Let them choose freely. As the Harmony's Edge prepared to depart, Commander Chen opened a final communication channel. Ambassador, whatever your people decide, know that we respect their choice. Every species must find its own path through the cosmos. The diplomatic vessel crossed back over the boundary into normal galactic space. Behind them, the invisible structures of human civilization continued their quiet work of maintaining the universe itself. Ambassador Kretal sat in her quarters, staring at the data crystal. In a few hours they would be back at Galactic Council headquarters. She would have to explain what she had learned to leaders who had never imagined that their entire civilization existed under the protection of beings preparing to become gods. The galactic map would need to be updated. The simple line marking human space would need a new notation, something that conveyed the truth without causing panic. Perhaps, here dwell the Guardians, and they are teaching us to save ourselves, or maybe something simpler. Here there be angels, and they're trying to save us all. She looked out at the stars, knowing now that many of them had been moved by human hands into perfect arrangements. The galaxy looked the same as always, but now she understood that it was actually a carefully maintained garden, tended by gardeners who were preparing to plant new seeds in distant soil. The choice ahead would not be easy, but at least now they could choose with their eyes open, knowing both the beauty of what they might become and the courage required to remain what they were.